Let's just get this out of the way. Most people will never succeed in commercial real estate investing. Not because they don't have the money, not because they're not smart enough, not because they can't build the right relationships or skills to succeed as a real estate investor. It's because they let fear prevent them from ever getting in the game. And if you're somebody that is hesitating right now to step into commercial real estate because of fear, one, know that you're not alone. This video is going to expose the 7 biggest fears that hold new commercial real estate investors back. Many of these I had myself, and I'm sure you can relate to some of them as well. But the truth is, every fear you have about commercial real estate, somebody else had it. And guess what? They still built a multi-million-dollar commercial real estate portfolio by overcoming these things. Fear is real, but it's also beatable. So let's dig into it. Welcome back, wise investors. If you are just getting started in commercial real estate, chances are you've got a mix of excitement and nerves, and that's totally normal. And in this video, we're gonna walk through the 7 most common fears new real estate investors deal with, from money to analysis to mistakes to mindset. And I'm gonna share tactical ways that you can flip those fears into fuel, that you can really debunk the idea that these things really are threats, and how you can overcome them and step into the game with confidence. Because every successful real estate investor you know, they felt the same fears at one point too. I know I did. So let's go ahead and dive into what the 7 top fears for new commercial real estate investors are and how you can overcome them. So first, we got to be honest with ourselves and identify what is it that is actually holding us back. What physical or mental obstacles do you have that might be preventing you from leaning in and taking action to achieving your goals in commercial real estate investing? And if you've been sitting on the sidelines in commercial real estate, there's a good chance that fear is what's keeping you from actually stepping into the batter's box. So today we're unpacking the 7 most common types of fear that new investors have, and how you can reframe these things, or how you can just eliminate them altogether. So that way you have the confidence you feel like you need in order to get in the game and start taking action. Number 1 fear that most people have in commercial real estate is always around capital, right? You think it's bigger deals, bigger check sizes, and more money. And that is something that you will have to get comfortable with. However, right, commercial real estate, even though it does require more capital, there are so many different creative ways that you can structure a commercial real estate deal and get in. It's completely different in a lot of ways than the requirements of single family lending. And with commercial real estate, I always tell people you can get as creative as the minds at the table are willing to get, whether that's through a joint venture, whether that's through syndications and pulling people's money together, whether that's through getting the seller to be the bank and do some type of seller financing or creative financing structure. At the end of the day, you have to focus on control, not ownership. You don't need 100% of the deal to build wealth. If you can identify what a good deal is, there's always a way to get the deal across the finish line. One of my very first mentors always told me, if you find a great opportunity, the money will find its way to the deal. And if you have a good mentor, you've got a good community around you, a good coach, right? Or just good people in your corner, if you have a great opportunity, you can trust in the fact that you will always find a way to get the deal across the finish line. Fear number 2, I don't know enough yet. A lot of people always think they need to be an expert, that you need to know everything in order to get in the game and start taking action. And the reality is, the best way that you're going to learn, that you're going to build confidence, that you're going to connect all of the dots and all of the things, the building blocks that you're going to eventually want to have in order to be a complete commercial real estate investor, is by just getting in the game and realizing that you're not going to know it all. Commercial real estate is a learnable game. Just like in single family, the learning curve of getting in the game and starting to connect the dots on how single family investments work, or really any skill that you've ever decided to do in the course of your life, it requires you to suck a little bit and then to suck a little bit less. And the more you do it, you get good. And then eventually you become great, right? And this is something that all of the pros started from zero, and every sensei started out as a student, right? right? So starting with those small steps and getting a seat at the table is just step number one. So that way you can start to hear what people are doing. You can start to see what moves they're taking. You can start to get feedback. You can start to get in conversations. You can start to learn asset classes and analyze deals and start networking with brokers and lenders. And this just takes some time, but you got to be in the game to get those reps. And just to realize and remember, you don't need to be an expert. I remember the first commercial real estate deal I ever closed, I was still trying to wrap my head around what a cap rate was and how it applied to the deal and what certain things in leases meant. But the best thing that I ever did was taking action, and I learned in the process, right? So if you can be informed and you can have the right support around you, you don't need to know and understand everything to begin your commercial real estate investing journey. Fear number 3 is, I'm afraid I'm going to lose money. Nobody wants to get into real estate investing and lose money. And the most important thing you can do on your first commercial real estate deal is make sure that you don't lose money. Now, risk comes from not knowing what you're doing, but education, due diligence, right? Having the right people on your team who can be a second set of eyes and ears and poke holes in what you're doing before you go and take the big leap and you actually invest your money and or other individuals' money. You're going to want to make sure that you have individuals that are helping you make a confident decision and that you're moving forward with the right due diligence, the right information, and ultimately the right analysis that you think you've got the ability to go and execute on what that plan is. And so understanding that one, commercial real estate is a long-term game. It moves slow. If you buy right, time is your friend, and ultimately you can weather most storms and ensure that you're not going to lose money. But you do a lot of that work on the front end, and by having a coach, a community, or the right people on your team as you get in the game can give you the confidence to mitigate risk, right? And protect your downside while feeling confident in what your game plan is going to be and how you're going to capture the upside. So focus on buying cash flowing assets, maybe not as speculative opportunities or investments, which we dive into more in this playlist. But most importantly, just realize that if you're afraid to lose money, there's so many different ways that you can mitigate your downside, build in safety nets, or what we call build in a moat around your investment decisions, and trust that the due diligence and the preparation and planning you did on the front end is going to protect you from losing money on the back end. Fear number 4 is that commercial real estate is just too complex. What I would love to tell you is, just like single family real estate investing has a learning curve, commercial real estate has the exact same learning curve. It's just got a couple different nuances, a couple different plays in the playbook, a couple different variables that single family real estate doesn't have. But the learning curve is all the same. And for many people, it seems complex because it's unfamiliar, right? But it is just a system like single family is, or like many other investment strategies are. It is just a system of repeatable skills. Underwriting, leasing, financing, right? These are all learnable things that as you get in the game, you're going to understand what you need to learn, what gaps you might have, what areas you might feel strong in, and how you can close those to become a more well-rounded real estate investor. So using mentors, masterminds like the Wise Investor Collective, right? Or other groups that are out there, other coaches that are out there, right? Of course, we think Wise Investor Collective is the best. But again, tools, mentors, masterminds, these can help you simplify the path and be more confident as you move forward with your commercial real estate investing goals. Fear number 5, I don't have a network. Well, guess what? Nobody does when they first get started, right? And the commercial real estate world, just like many other successful business industries, are built on relationships. But you have to build them as you go. You're not going to step in day one having a network and a reputation and a brand as somebody who's 10, 15, 20 years in the game, right? The only way they built those things is by getting in the game, and little by little. I always look at it like being a farmer, right? You got a raw piece of dirt. You got to rototill that dirt. You got to plant seeds, right? And then ultimately you have to, as a good farmer would, tend to your crop. You got to water the seeds, you got to nurture the relationships, and eventually those relationships are going to bear fruit just like a great farmer would, but it takes some time. And so starting with brokers and lenders and fellow investors, right? Other vendors that are going to be in your scope and what kind of asset class you're looking for, that all takes time. And the way that you can do that is joining online communities, Facebook groups. There's a lot of free options that are out there like meetups. You can join paid masterminds. You can get coaching. There's a lot of ways that you can hack into people's networks and relationships by just being in proximity to them. So think about the different arenas that you want to get into that have the people, the relationships, the skills, the capital that you're looking for. And sometimes you can get into those for free. Other times you got to pay to play. Fear number 6, fear of embarrassment or failure. It's crazy how many people think other people care as much about them as they do. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all our main character in our own journey. And while I love to think that many of you think I'm so awesome and so special, at the end of the day, you're not worried about me, right? And you don't really care what I'm up to. You care about your own journey and ultimately how people, relationships, information, education can help you become more successful in your own featuring film. And so fear of judgment just holds more people back than failure ever will. And the people that I know who are the most successful are the ones who actually fail the fastest and use those as stepping stones to becoming a little bit more equipped, a little bit more capable, a little bit more confident, right? No one's watching you as closely as you think. And those who matter really will support you. And those who don't matter are going to be the ones that are probably the ones judging you. So don't allow those individuals to hold you back from taking steps. Fail forward and just know that every investor has stories and lessons of failures. And oftentimes those are the best stepping stones for their next big win. Fear number 7, I am waiting for the perfect time. Now, if you are a real estate investor or an investor in general, you understand that we don't try and time the market. Yes, we love to use data to help us have the most information that's the closest thing to our crystal ball to making the best informed decisions going forward. But there is no perfect time, right? And if you're playing a long-term game, whether you buy at the peak of a cycle or the bottom of a cycle or somewhere in between, if you are doing this from a long-term perspective, right, it doesn't matter where you start. Only the time you decide to start matters. And commercial real estate rewards those who take consistent action over time. Now, of course, maybe your entry into the market or the strategy or the asset class, those things matter depending on what your overall investment strategy is and the time frame of the investment, which we dive into a little bit more in videos on this channel. But that being said, there is no perfect time to start. The best time to start and buy real estate was yesterday, right? So if you're concerned or you want to mitigate some of that risk, just start small, but start. The earlier you begin, the more leverage you gain and the more opportunity you're going to give yourself to win over a long period of time. So as we close out this video, I just want to remind you, right? The biggest risk is not failure. The biggest risk that you have is in inaction. And I'll give you a quick little story. I have been investing in commercial real estate, over the last 15 years. And I can't tell you how many people I've talked to over the course of those years when the market was shaky or there were certain times where it was a lull or a little stale and people going, you know what, it doesn't feel right now. I'm going to sit on the sidelines. And years go by, and mind you, I have invested and bought commercial real estate every single year. And looking up 3, 5, 7, 10 years later, I've gotten so much further ahead than many of these people who have tried to time the market and have ultimately been sitting out on the sidelines, not making investments and not moving the needle forward on their goals. So the biggest risk isn't failure. The biggest risk actually is inaction, is in the opportunity costs that you're missing out by completely sitting on the sidelines and being in the game. As we know, commercial real estate is a great hedge against inflation, right? You're missing out on the opportunity to compound and leverage your time. These are the things that are silently eroding your wealth. And we know that little things done consistently over a long period of time compound into much bigger things, right? So delaying your decisions of getting in the game and taking action on your commercial real estate goals, this is what is ultimately going to hurt you and slow you down from getting where you're actually trying to go by being in this space. So just remember, you don't need to go big. You can always start small. You can always find a way to mitigate your risk and be more comfortable with the decisions you're making. And one of the ways is, of course, by just understanding that what strategy you're going after with whatever asset class aligns with your goals is something that is really in alignment and congruent with what you're trying to accomplish versus investing in something, time, energy, or capital that really isn't. So the best way that you can make sure that you are aligned with your investment strategy and goals is to take the free real estate investing quiz that we've got down below. You can always check out the great tools and resources we have for you over at wiseinvestorvault.com, as well as if you're interested in having a group of individuals around you, a community, coaching, experts, deal analysis, a lot of the things that help people overcome those fears and mitigate their risks and be successful in the decisions that they're making, then check out joining our Wise Investor Collective Mastermind group. Again, you don't need to be the one to be successful by yourself. You can have individuals support you, give you the necessary tools and means to be a strong, confident commercial real estate investor. And we'd love to connect with you if that is something that is of interest to you. Don't forget, we got more videos in this playlist. These are things that will help you continue to be a more confident real estate investor as you get started with commercial real estate investing. And until next video, keep investing in yourself and your wealth on your march to $1 million and beyond.